Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hey everybody, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank. You can always catch a replay of the entire broadcast we did today on shrimptankpodcast.com. I'm sitting here with my co-host Chris Hanks, who is the founder and executive director of the KSU Center of Entrepreneurship. We have James Shai with us today, who's a student at KSU, did a great job on the program today, and our guest, Shannon Russo, who's the CEO of Kinetix, and her partner, Kris Dunn, who is also, I would say, everything else at Kinetix today. He's the Chief Marketing Officer, the Chief Human Resources Officer. And we had a great show today, a tremendous dialogue, learned a lot about partnerships and recruiting and how you grow a business and maintain that culture in the business. So I recommend that you watch the podcast or listen to it so you could hear everything that we discussed today. Now, one thing we really didn't get into in today's program that I think would be interesting for people watching this is that when you're trying to get recruited today and you're out there, what might be the three biggest pieces of advice you would give to a recruit that's saying, I want to get a chief technology officer job, I want to get a high-level SVP job, and it's such a competitive marketplace today for those jobs. What would you recommend for folks out there on three or four things they might do to get themselves prepped for getting recruited?
Well, I think it's a great question. You know, what I would say, I don't really even know if I have three or four things. I would tell you that for a high-level professional job, having a portfolio of work that's accessible is probably the most important thing. And like if you take a chief technology officer, even if you're a software developer, and you could go right down the ranks in terms of any like profession, I think a lot of the LinkedIn profiles, a lot of the resumes are going to look exactly the same to really show value, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's you come in for the interview and you have a leave behind, right, that looks like this, that even if you don't get to it, you just drop it on their desk. You want a portfolio of work that shows 4 or 5 things that you've worked on that have added value to a business beyond just a simple resume. And what I would tell you is our experience with candidates, both interviewing for Kinetix and also helping our clients, is that like less than 2 or 3% of candidates will actually take the time to do that. So if you do that when they looked at your LinkedIn profile and you do that in a bigger, bolder way as a lead behind an interview, you're going to look great as a candidate in a sea of sameness.
So one thing that we got into the content in the show, which is different from previous shows, is how do you use blogging to reach more customers? Can you touch on that a little bit as well? Again?
Do you want to start, Shannon, or you want me to take that one as well?
I'm going to give it to you, but
Okay.
I will start with saying that for a professional services type business like our business, what we decided was we would never have the spend of the billion-dollar public companies because we were right. You're looking at the people writing the checks. So we had to go at it differently. And so we decided that a thought leadership content-based strategy was the right way to go at the business. Chris is the chief architect of that, so I'll leave it to you in terms of execution, but that was the key behind our how we go at the business.
And what we would tell anybody that's starting a business is you want to have this sense of giving gifts of content. So however you do that, whether it's white papers, whether it's case studies, whether it's webinars, whether it's just a blog post, you want to, like for us, our business is recruiting. So we want to actually help people that are out there that might use our services to recruit better for themselves. So we want to give the gifts of content about how to run a better recruiting shop, how to be a better recruiter. What that does is it creates a space in someone's mind. They can become better, but ultimately they're going to have a need to engage a firm like ours. And if we do a good job giving the gift of content to try and make them better, they're going to remember us. So our rule is when we give that content, we really never sell. We never sell the person. One of the things we do is, hey, if you mess this up, give us a call. We're around, we're here. But it's less about selling, and it's more about helping that business be better at what it is we can do for them, knowing that we'll be top of mind when they have a need.
And what platform do you like best for blogging?
So we're a WordPress shop, so we love that. Although I heard you mentioned in the green room, I threw the green room out there. I heard you mention Squarespace, and I actually run a basketball AAU program on Squarespace. So they've got like a new platform that's really engaging and nice as well. But we're WordPress shop for all of its like for any difficulties you have with that, it's by far got the most plugins and the most flexibility to do cool stuff.
All right, and given that I'm a student at Kennesaw State, and I've had the luxury of seeing the KSU Entrepreneurship Center grow over the last year, and it's relevant to not only students who want to start their own business, but also smaller businesses and medium-sized businesses as well. How did you leverage your strengths in the beginning, and how did you overcome your weaknesses, and what were some of the difficulties you faced in growing your business?
So I would say one of the biggest difficulties we overcame in growing our business was when you're small, you can muscle things. You can just push stuff through. You just make it happen. As you get bigger, you really have to start to put process in place in order to make sure that your business can be sustainable and you can keep doing it the right way. And we didn't have to do that in the beginning. So that was one of the, I'll say, stumbling blocks, and then one of the better things to learn as we grew the business.
Well, we really enjoyed having you on the program today. We enjoy all of you coming to the post-show wrap-up. Again, you can hear a replay of the entire podcast on shrimptankpodcast.com. For those that are watching today that are either in the business of trying to find themselves a great job and they need to be recruited, or there may be an employer watching today that's saying, we don't know how to fill all of our jobs and we need a company to be able to come in and find us the right talent. How can folks find out more about Kinetix?
KinetixHR.com on the web is probably the best place. We're on every social media platform that you could also want Kinetix HR.
And that's spelled a little bit differently, right?
Yes, it is. KINETIX HR.com.
So it's KinetixHR.com. Thanks so much for Kris and Shannon for joining us today. And again, go to shrimptankpodcast.com. You can hear the entire replay of the podcast. And thanks for joining us on the Shrimp Tank.